What is good, everybody? It is your boy Cal back with another Xenoverse video for you guys. Hey, we are here to put a stop to the nonsense with people saying that Xenoverse 3 has no chance of happening. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but to say that this game has no chance, I'm literally sick of seeing that at this point in time, because this game definitely has a chance, and I truly believe it has a good chance of happening. Maybe not this year. I do not believe it'll be announced at this year's E3. Personally, I think we're going to get some new kind of Dragon Ball game, but I do think in 2022 we will see that Xenoverse 3 announcement and hopefully have it released in late, like fall or winter of 2022 as well. But again, I'm here to put a stop to that nonsense and then also show you guys some things that I don't know how I did not notice this the first couple times we went over these domains and looked at the Xenoverse3.com domain, all things like that. But there are some new things that I've kind of discovered which make me feel like there's no, like absolutely zero question that all these websites were made by the same company, Bandai or Dimps, whoever did it, whether it was developer or producer, and that they pretty much planned on a 3-game series from the very beginning. Now, there's also some other stuff that I want to show in this video, guys, that we're going to get to after the Xenoverse stuff, and that's in regards to fighters, because I decided to look up some stuff on fighters, and I found some interesting stuff that I honestly did not expect. And I wouldn't say it's anything to get excited for or anything like that, to be honest, but it's definitely something interesting that you guys will want to see. So definitely stay tuned for that for all my fighters players that are watching this video right here. But getting into the domain and putting up the domain website for Xenoverse3.com, as you guys see right here, this is the Who Is record for Xenoverse3.com. We have the Who Is record for Xenoverse 2 and Xenoverse 1 as well, because we're going to be making direct comparisons to these that, again, I don't know how I did not like notice this stuff, because to me this kind of just confirms more that this was definitely made, again, by Bandai or Dimps, and they planned this from the very beginning. Now, most of us know, for those who have seen the videos in the past, that these dates, we've talked about these dates majorly, where when it was created, when it expires, and when it was updated, because that is very important. If they let the website expire or something like that, then we know Xenoverse 3 wouldn't have had any chance. And the simple fact that it was set to expire on 12/9 of 2020, but was changed and renewed for 2021, that alone definitely gave us hope, and I made a full video on that, because that to me was very, very big and just showed that this website is still going and they still do have some kind of plans for it at some point in time. Now, the other big thing is the date that it was created on. The simple fact that this website was created on 12/9/2014 shows that they had plans for this from the very beginning, because if you look at even Xenoverse 2, Xenoverse 2 was also created on 12/9/2014. Both of these were literally created on the same day, a day before Xenoverse 1 was even out. Xenoverse 1 was created in the same year on 7/2 of 2014, but did not come out until 2015. So like I said, from the very beginning, they had the plan of the 3-game series. But some people could still say, you don't know for sure, like how can you be positive, you know, that this website wasn't made by a scammer or somebody just trying to troll the community or something like that? Well, first and foremost, just off the stuff that we've talked about, I don't see how a troll would know, literally, one, that Xenoverse 3 was even going to be a thing in 2014 or have a chance of being a thing, and then two, how would they know to make it on the exact same day that Xenoverse 2's website was created? How would they know to make those domains on the exact same day and basically lock them up so nobody else could use them in the future? Okay, maybe that's not enough proof for you. But then, guys, you start to look at some of the other things. The registrant org is, for Xenoverse 3, it's Gandhi Corporate. For Xenoverse 2 and Xenoverse 1, it both says Bandai Namco Entertainment Europe. So that's not the best sign in the world. But then you look at the country. All three actually, were all done in France. Now, if you look at the registrar, Gandhi SAS, Gandhi SAS. For Xenoverse 2, Gandhi SAS, Gandhi SAS. For Xenoverse 1, Gandhi SAS, Gandhi SAS. Now, if you look at this IANA ID, it's 81, 81, and 81. Literally, all that stuff matches exactly the same for all 3 domains and all 3 websites. So this clearly shows that the registrar for these 3 websites were the same company, people's. I don't exactly know what Gandhi SAS is, but it shows you that it was exactly the same on Xenoverse 1, 2, and 3. That right there should definitely clear up all thoughts that this was done by a troll or something along those lines, because how the hell would a troll not only know the exact date, but also get the exact registrar and be under the exact same registrar as Xenoverse 1 and Xenoverse 2? But then you also look at the name servers. All three of these are Gandhi.net servers. Gandhi.net, Gandhi.net. They may be slightly different in what kind of like the beginning stuff is. For Xenoverse 1, it's NS. For Xenoverse 2, it is NS. And for Xenoverse 3 right now, it is DNS. I'm assuming maybe because like the website is not officially made yet at this point in time or something along those lines. Because if you actually go and look up Xenoverse3.com, it brings you to this page right here. And as you guys see, basically it's saying like this page has, or this domain has already been bought out and like taken up, so you cannot use it, but the website itself is not up yet. It says something along those lines. I don't remember exactly, but you guys can see it on the screen. So again, all three of them have pretty much the same name servers. They have the same registrar. Xenoverse 1 and Xenoverse 2 were both created on the same day, and both created before Xenoverse 1 even came out. What else is there? If you look at the IP location, the ASN, all things like that, this is like, if you look at these three websites, guys, they are literally all the same. Like, you guys' screens on these IP locations and ASN don't look like it's changing, but I'm changing between all three websites with these clicks right now and going through Xenoverse 1, 2, and 3. So there is way too much on this that is the exact same between Xenoverse 1, Xenoverse 2, and Xenoverse 3 to say that this website and this domain was taken up by a troll, and they just took this up to mess with the community. Like, how could he have all this stuff exactly the same if it was a troll? So again, this was definitely made by Bandai and Dimps. They had this plan from the very beginning for a full-on 3-game series. Now, whether they go through with that plan or not, I don't know if it's going to happen. I do believe it will. Again, nothing is confirmed. I'm not saying that this confirms that Xenoverse 3 will happen. It just confirms that there's definitely hope for the game. There is definitely a chance that this game will happen and come one day without doubt. Like I said, I personally believe it's going to be a 2022 thing in terms of announcement and potential release as well. Now, something for those who have been watching these videos from like last year and all things like that, if you look at the historical records and significant changes, guys, it has gone up a significant amount since the last time I made a video on this. And the reason that this is kind of important and big to me is because before like the last 6 months, the historical records and significant changes was literally at like 20. Like the very first video I made on this, when Burkle first discovered this, the significant changes in historical records were literally at like 20, 25 or something like that. And that was about 6-7 months ago. So 6-7 months later, it's at 149. When there's more than 6 years, as you guys see, the oldest records date back more than 6 years. So they've just had a bunch of changes and historical, like significant changes and records, things that have been going on this website in the last 7-8 months. So that is another thing that just makes me feel, again, it gives me that hope, because what are they doing? They're clearly doing something with this website, maybe getting it ready or something along those lines for a future announcement. Again, don't think it's going to happen this year. I do believe it will be in 2022. But there's just so much that you can truly find from the Whois record and the domain of Xenoverse3.com, especially when you compare it to Xenoverse 1 and 2. Literally way too much is the same to believe that someone else outside of Bandai or Dimps made this website and took this domain name so early on when, again, Xenoverse 1 wasn't even out. Now, that's all the stuff that I really wanted to talk about in regards to Xenoverse. I did say I had some interesting things that I wanted to look at with fighters, and the stuff with fighters kind of shows, you know, that even more, I feel like that these three websites were made by the same people. Because if you look at the domain for fighters, guys, there's a different registrar, OVH, SAS, OVH. There's different name servers. The only thing that's really the same is the country in terms of the registrant country. It is in France still. So I'm assuming like Bandai is maybe like one of their main things that is located in France. I really don't know, but it still is in France as you guys can see. Now, another interesting thing though, in regards to fighters alone, that I found is the simple fact that there's no Fighters 2. There is no Fighters2.com. So this makes me feel, I don't think that Fighters 2 has no chance of happening because of this. Do not get me wrong. Because you also got to remember that the developers for both of these games are different. So maybe Dimps had the plan for a 3-game series from the very beginning with Xenoverse. On the other hand, Fighters and Arc System, they didn't maybe know how well Fighters would actually do, or because we never really had a true 2D competitive fighting game that the FGC even took into account, and it was one of the biggest FGC games in recent years. So I don't know if Arc System thought that Fighters would do that well, so maybe that's why they didn't have the plan for it from the very beginning, and that's why the Fighters2.com is for sale, as you guys can see. But again, I don't think that rules out the possibility of Fighters 2 happening. I do think it will at some time, just based off of that game's success as well. But the success for Fighters 2 was absolutely insane, especially for a game that got a lot of hate early on from non-FGC players. Like, there were so many people in the Xenoverse community that were giving it hate early on that actually love the game now and excuse me, and play it so much. So again, man, I'm not saying that this means Fighters 2 won't happen, but I just found it very interesting that Fighters2.com is not taken up and it is still for sale, as you guys can see. And another thing I found interesting, again, is the simple fact that the registrar and all things like that, the name servers and all that, is different for Fighters than it is for any of the Xenoverses. All of the Xenoverses are under the Gandhi.net, while Fighters is under something completely different. So like I said, man, this stuff right here that you can see off of the Whois record and domains for Xenoverse3.com, if you don't think that it has a chance of happening and that there was never a plan for it from the very beginning after watching this video, I truly don't know what to say to you. I really don't, because there's just way too much, like I said, that is the same and matches up from all 3 domains to really deny the fact that this was made by Bandai or Dimps and they had this plan from the very beginning. And I'm still hopeful that they will fully go through with this plan and bring us Xenoverse 3 at some point in time. But let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about all the information that I went over in the video? There was some information that I went over quickly for those who may be seeing this for the first time and didn't see the past videos on Xenoverse 3 and the domain and all things like that. Be sure to check those out, because I do go more in depth on like when the website was created, the expiration, the update, all things like that for Xenoverse3.com in particularly. And today I kind of just went over that quickly because that is stuff, like I said, that I covered in the past and I didn't want to spend too much time on those things here today. But let me know you guys' thoughts on all this down below in the comments. But as always, man, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time, hope you have a good day. Hey, y'all.